Hey everyone, welcome to Founders 365 with me, Steven Haggerty. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Samuel Leeds, property entrepreneur, property investor. How are you today, Samuel?
I'm great. Good to be on the show.
Thank you for being here. Before we go any further, let's just give everyone an overview of sort of who you are and what you do if they haven't heard of you.
So I'm probably most known for my property investing side of the business. So I started about 5 years ago vlogging my property journey. So every time I'd buy a property deal or I'd package and sell a deal, I'd just do a little, literally on my phone, I would just vlog it, stick it on YouTube. And that began to generate a little bit of an audience, a bit of a following. Since then, I've set up a training company. So I teach people how to invest in property. I've had tens of thousands of students all across the world that come in to do our training, and I'm continuing to invest in property. So I've got some really interesting projects. A couple of years ago bought a castle, which we're currently renovating.
As you do,
converting into luxury apartments and also houses. So that's it. That's kind of what I'm pretty much known for. I've got a couple of wonderful kids, happily married to Amanda. So we live in Beaconsfield in Buckinghamshire, just outside of London.
Sweet, dude. Love it. And you started pretty young, right? So you started at 17, am I correct?
Yes, I started investing at 17.
How does a 17-year-old sort of wake up one day and go, you know what, I'm going to start getting into the property game? And especially, 10 odd years ago, it wasn't probably as public as it is now, right? Every man and their dog seems to be doing property trading at the moment, but when you were 17 that wasn't the case. So how did you sort of start getting into it and that first conversation with yourself?
Yeah, so when I started, it was really rare that I didn't know any other 17-year-olds at the time. Everyone was going on to college and sixth form and all this stuff, and then when I was 19, 20, they're going to university, and I was seen as the strange one for going into property. And I didn't go into property only. I also went into property education. So I was going on training programs, and people would say to me, that seems like a bit of a scam. It's risky. And why are you spending thousands of pounds on these get rich quick courses? And I'm thinking, well, hold on a minute. You're going to university to study drama for 4 years. Okay. In the hope to what? Become an actor or something? And then what's the plan there? You want to become an actor or something? The slim chance of that to then get money. And I'm just going on courses and programs to learn about money. I'm reading books and going to seminars. I'm 17, learning about the thing that everyone, you go to school, you get a good job to get good grades, to go to university, ultimately to get a good job for life and save up money and put it in the bank. The whole thing is around money. So I'm just fast tracking. I'm just studying money right from the start. So, even when I was 15, I was interested in business. I remember at 15 years old reading Richard Branson's book, Screw It, Let's Do It. So I've been interested in business. And so, that was just the path I took. And it was strange. And people thought I was strange. I did have some people that believed in me. My mom and my stepdad were totally rooting for me, cheering me on. In fact, my stepdad, he was my guarantor on my first house. So I was only able to buy my first house age 17 based on, number one, the fact that I had a mentor that was telling me how to structure it financially, that I could buy it without using any of my own money. And then secondly, I needed someone to host the property for me because I was too young. So even now, my net worth now is over 10 million pounds. I'm 29 and I am from a working class background. And no one gave me any money. No one gave me a penny to get started. I started with nothing. But at the same time, Arnold Schwarzenegger says, no one's self-made. I'm only where I'm at because I've walked through doors, but people have put those doors in front of me. I was just with a kid yesterday who's 18. He's one of my students. And he came on my training academy when he was 17 years old. His parents, instead of putting him through university, they put him through my training academy. I just went to meet up with him yesterday. I was in Hull yesterday, and I saw one of his houses and he's bought it. His parents have hosted it for him just like me. And he bought it below market value. He's pushed the value up and he's just refinanced it. And he's pulled out all of the initial money so he can pay back the investors bar £63. So effectively, he bought a property for £63. He's 17. When I did it at 17, it was weird. and everyone was thinking, what the heck is this? Now it's becoming the new normal. Part of the new normal is becoming financially literate and doing deals. So, and I'm really glad to be part of that.
When you started at 17, did you have any hint to yourself that when you're 29, you would be, have a follow on Facebook, have a follow on social media, be training tens of thousands of people live and online? Was that part of the plan? Was that sort of where you wanted to go?
No, it wasn't. I never wanted to be a multimillionaire. I never wanted to be a trainer. What I wanted was actually, the reason I got started in property was because I just didn't want to work on a job. I was actually working for when I first left school at 16, I was working for my dad, and he had an entertainment agency, and I was doing like shows, discos, children's parties, and I didn't mind doing that. I quite enjoyed it. It was fun. But I thought, I'll be damned if I'm doing this when I'm 67 years old. Mm-hmm. And also working for my dad, I was having to work on Sundays. I actually became a Christian when I was 16, and I wanted to go to church, and I couldn't. And it was just that lack of freedom. Like, I want to go to church on a Sunday and have a Sunday off and have a roast dinner at my mom's house, but I can't because I've got to be working. Yeah. Because I'm being told what to do. I don't want to be a little bitch. I don't want to be a little bitch that does what people do. I want to do what I want to do. And I don't mind working hard, but I want to work on my terms. So that was initially why I got into property. And once I became financially independent, initially when I was 20, I had a little portfolio that meant I didn't have to have a job. I wasn't rich. I was just making a nice income from my rental properties. I spent 3 years at college. I went to college after studying. But I didn't go to college to get money. I went to college for me. I went to Bible college to study theology because I wanted to do that. And I did some charity work. I climbed up Kilimanjaro, raised some money for Compassion, which is a fantastic charity. And it was at that point when my networking organizations that I'd been part of, like BNI and Property Investors Network, started saying to me, hey, do you mind coming in and sharing your story for 20 minutes? At one of our events? Do you mind coming in? So people started asking me to share my story and talk, and it just very organically happened. And I think the thing is, when I started putting myself out there and doing YouTube and stuff, what happened was that built me a platform, and suddenly that now I'm not just financially free in property, but now people know who I am. Mm-hmm. And when people know who you are, if you're smart, you can monetize that, because money comes from people. Money doesn't come from property.
Yeah. And on that note, as you've grown, you've had a few negative press recently, let's put it that way. For you, how do you deal with that? How do you get home, and when you shut the front door and you've got your wife, your kids there, how do you make sure that you're looking after yourself mentally? Because, no matter what anyone says, negative press or negative comments, they can have an effect, right? So how do you deal with that?
Okay. If you're going to stand in the kitchen, you need to take the heat. And if you can't take the heat, then you got to get out of the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Now, whilst I do think some of the press and stuff on me has been unfair, and I think some online trolls have gone too far with the comments, and I'm just like, come on, guys. At the same time, what I'm doing now, I'm not talking property now, I'm talking coming on Steve's podcast and having a YouTube channel. That isn't for everybody. That is not for everybody. And if you're worried about what people think, and if you're worried about having negative comments, then just don't put yourself out there. Don't have a YouTube channel. Just do property and keep your head down. That's fine. But if you want to grow big, and if you want to scale your business, and if you want to put yourself out there, and if you want to build your brand, not everyone's going to like you. No one likes me. And if I was everybody's cup of tea, then I'd be a mug. So I'm quite happy for people to like me or not to like me. And I think most people, even podcasters and YouTubers, most people, their number one priority is being liked. They want to be liked by everybody. And that's not my number one priority. My number one priority is not to be liked. It's to be a good husband. It's to be a good father. It's to be a good businessman. It's to look after my customers. It's to look after my staff. So there's the online world and there's the real world. So if you are going to put yourself out there, and if you're going to start doing YouTube videos and going on TV and speaking in front of thousands of people, if you're going to do that, what you need to remember is, don't get it twisted between the online world and the real world. Yes, I have negativity. I have negativity every day. I have people going on saying, oh, you're only there because you got lucky, or you're a fraud, or I don't believe. Okay, I get that every day. But I don't get that in my real world. I don't have people coming up to me at events and when I'm doing business meetings and when I'm on the road and when I'm viewing houses and I don't have people coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I don't believe you're legit," because I'm doing business. It's the real world. There's a lot of keyboard warriors, sure. And you just gotta remember differentiate the real world and the online world. So
how do you do that then? How do you create the balance in your life for that? Because you do show up every day online, on YouTube, on Facebook, all those other platforms. So how do you mix like you said, that online world with the reality world of, I'm guessing, yesterday we went to Hull and saw one of your students.
Well, you just in your mind, you just say, as I said before, what are my customers saying? What are my staff saying? What's my wife saying? What are my close friends saying? My parents? And it's the thing is, it's about making yourself accountable and having a close circle. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's what I'll say. But listen, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. If you don't want to be, if you get offended because you get a negative review on an Amazon book, then don't write an Amazon book, because you're going to get reviews, and some of them are going to be good and some of them are going to be bad. Or you won't get any reviews, and then you go, "I've not got any bad reviews," but no one's saying anything. So that's it really. To me, what you focus on expands, and I focus on my business.
Yeah,
I'm focusing on my property business. I'm focusing on putting out good content. That's my focus. So I don't really give it too much thought.
Awesome. So earlier on, you mentioned that when you started all of this, your intention wasn't to become a multimillionaire or really get to the level you have now. But now you're at that stage where you just want to scale this, you want to grow it. So for you, what's that next step? What's the next step to the scale and growth?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like right now, I've scaled my business pretty big. Last year, we turned over just shy of 10 million. We made over £2 million clean profit just last year. Like, I kind of have scaled it, and for sure, everything's relative.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Cardone is one of my mentors. He would probably say I haven't scaled it. He'd probably say you need to scale it. He's doing
10x that, man.
Yeah, so everybody's always at a different level. For me, yes, I'm growing. I've actually used this lockdown period as an opportunity to really just get better as well. So to get my procedures better, to get myself better, to grow. I've had a personal trainer all throughout lockdown. We've taken a lot of our training online. I've been training and my staff and spending time nurturing and leading my staff. So I think, yeah, for sure. Last couple of years have been big time scale. Right now, my focus is not so much scale. My focus now is more kind of on solidifying and just getting things better and smoother. Making sure that the people, my staff and my customers are having a seamless experience. Things are systemized. That's kind of really where I'm at now. And also just enjoying spending time at home with the kids. My kids are growing up,
right?
Yeah, partly. I don't think it's just about that, but that's definitely part of it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Good man. How do you educate yourself then? Because, back when you brought Richard Branson's book, I did the exact same. Where do you go for education now? Where do you go for property education to make sure that you're staying on top of everything, and also just education in the sense of other areas of your life? You mentioned a personal trainer, which is great, but how do you look for that? How do you seek that out, and how do you know what you want?
Yeah, great question. So I'm always educating myself. When I'm doing stuff generally, I always ask the question, am I earning or am I learning? It's got to be one or the other. If I'm not earning and I'm not learning, then I'm not really that interested in doing it. Unless it's holiday, unless it's just fun. But generally speaking, throughout the day, earning or learning. So, of course, I'm always learning on the job. So as I'm doing it, my greatest teachers have been my solicitors, my accountants, my surveyors, and my architects, my builders. So as I'm doing the job, I'm picking the brains of the professionals that I'm working with on the property side. Also, when you're teaching something, so with the best way to learn something is to do it, but the ultimate way to really know it is to teach it. So with property, because I'm teaching it and because I'm doing a YouTube video around property every single day, my property knowledge myself has got to be really razor sharp because I'm actually teaching it. In terms of just general other stuff like business and personal development and mindset, I've got a lot of mentors. I go on a lot of training programs physically, so I'll regularly track. I mean, last year I was flying across the world. I was in Miami. Probably a year before that, I was flying to Germany and Thailand just on training programs. So,
what do you think? What over the last say year or so? What's the best training program you think you've been on?
Over the last year or so, I did Grant Cardone's business boot camp. That was really, really, really good. That kind of, and the thing is as well, when I go to a training program now, I'm not expecting the training program to just continually, say it's a 4-day program. I'm not expecting the whole 4 days to just be like, blow me away, blow me away, blow me away. But for me, if I can just get a couple nuggets, a couple tweaks, and it's so different when you're starting out. Like when I was starting out in business when I was 17 and I was going on training programs, it was like I was a blank slate. And I joined a training program. What I wanted was a crash course on stuff. That's why I teach the Property Investors Crash Course. So the crash course is like, if you are kind of just getting started and you just want to know, you want to fast track, and you want a crash course on property, then come to my Property Investors Crash Course. What I want now, I don't really want to go on a crash course myself right now. What I want now is I want to just tweak my business, because I don't need to go on a crash course because I'm already in business. I'm doing stuff. I've got a lot of staff. We've got a lot of customers. But for me, the smallest tweak, that's why I happily spend a lot of money on training. Like I spent £200,000 with Grant Cardone last time I was in Miami. And to me, I don't mind that, because I think that even if I just get the smallest tweak, a little tweak, it's going to be the difference between me going in this direction or me just going straight. So yeah, I mean, that was really good. And I think over lockdown, obviously, I've not been able to actually go on any physical training, but I've still been touching base with mentors, talking with people. So yeah,
brilliant. That's really interesting. Knowing that sort of investment for you is worthwhile and tweaking. What would you say to people that just never want to invest in themselves but they want the goal? Because we see that every day, all day, every day. You must have those people come to your events where they don't want to invest, they don't want to purchase things, they don't want to invest in themselves, but they have the desire and the ambition to get what they want.
Well, everyone has got to make their own decisions, and ultimately, as long as you're prepared to take responsibility for your results, then you're an adult. Make the decision. So, for me, my attitude is, I think that there's a lot of good things to invest in. You can invest in gold, which is going to give you it's going to increase your wealth over time. It's not going to give you any cash flow. You've got property, which I think is just an incredible investment. There's Bitcoin. There's so many good investments. There's business. But I personally just don't think that you can beat investing in yourself, because you are going to be with you forever. Your gold might not be. You're going to be with you forever. So I would rather somebody, I mean, I've got quite a big property portfolio. If my portfolio was taken from me overnight, I lost everything, I wouldn't be really that. I don't get too worried about that stuff. People say like, oh, what happens if, with Corona and Brexit, if this, I'm not too worried, because what Corona can't take away is who I am and what I know and my knowledge and my experience. So that, for me, property investment is the second best investment. The best is yourself. So how do you invest in yourself? Well, you invest in yourself by actively investing, whether it's investing time, whether it's investing money, energy, in getting better yourself. So for me, I'm always thinking, how can I grow? And that's why if I have a bad deal, or if I have a property that goes wrong, I don't really necessarily see it as, oh man, that was a complete waste of time. I think, okay, well, what did I learn from this? I'm either going to win or I'm going to learn. And the reason I run a training program is because I think that the best way to learn is to learn from other people's mistakes. And that's why I teach, because I'm thinking ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is extremely expensive. So if someone's got the desire and they want to succeed, but they just don't want to invest in themselves because, I don't know, maybe they don't see the value in it, or they just think, I don't really want to put much money into that when I haven't got much money, then don't even invest money, just invest time, just or a little tiny bit of money. Just get some books, and start listening to podcasts and CDs and invest your time into growing yourself. And then when you start to get results and when you start to see the difference, then consider. I would always encourage people to consider just investing habitually. It just becomes part of the thing that you do, like brushing your teeth, to be investing in yourself. I think it's really important, but everyone's got to make their own decisions.
Yeah, I totally agree. But you get a really good point there, because I think when people speak about investing in themselves, they automatically assume that, you know, you have to drop a couple of grand on a course or a mentor or a coach. But, you know, you hit the nail on the head. It's like, actually, you could just buy a book, listen to a podcast. The key thing is that you implement, right? Because you can read 100 books, but if you don't implement, then you've just got 100 books on your shelf. You're no further forward. So really good point there. For you, Samuel, what's next? What do you predict sort of the next thing is for you? Because you've got to be ahead of the curve. You've got to make sure that you're assuming and predicting a lot of things. So with COVID happening, I'm guessing there's a huge opportunities coming out of it. Where are you positioning yourself now? Where are you positioning yourself for that next bit of opportunity growth?
Well, I'm still aggressively pumping money and stuff into property and real estate right now. And my prediction is that, here's the thing: when everybody else is scared, that's when you should be greedy. That's according to Warren Buffett. James Caan, who is one of the dragons from Dragon's Den, one of my favorite dragons. I had the privilege of meeting him, and I've had him on my YouTube channel. He says his biggest piece of advice is to observe the masses and then do the opposite. So right now in the property market, everybody's really, really scared. And the reason they're scared is because there's uncertainty around what's happening. Is there going to be a second or third wave of corona? Could lockdown happen again? We haven't even begun to think about Brexit. Brexit's already happened, but then at the end of the year, that's when we're supposed to announce what the actual conditions are. No one's even thinking about that.
That word hasn't even been mentioned in the last 6 months.
No, it's not even mentioned, but it's still happening. So what are the implications of that? And people aren't really sure. And because people aren't sure, people are scared. People are holding off. And in the property market, a lot of people are saying at the moment, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. And in my opinion, what usually happens at that point, because when I started out in 2000, and it was around about 2009, I think it was 2009 when I actually bought my first house. And 2009 was just after the credit crunch.
Yeah.
At that point, properties were falling like crazy. And everyone was getting out. And the headlines in all the papers were buy to let is dead. People were saying that properties were going to crash to next to nothing. Everyone was freaking out. So I, at that point, was going in and I was buying. And people said, what are you doing? That's crazy. And the reason I was doing it, I didn't have much skin in the game apart from my time and resources and stuff. And a few grand I was putting into courses, because my properties that I was buying, I was creatively financing them where I wasn't actually using any of my money. So, but I was still buying. But what happened was everyone was really, really scared. But then 2010, they bounced up, and those properties that I bought have now doubled in value. So right now, I think it's a similar sort of thing. Now, I haven't got a crystal ball, and you've got to be strategic about where you buy and what you buy and how you buy. I'm not just saying everyone go and buy houses. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is just think for yourself and don't be a spectator and just be an observer and just say, well, I'll just wait for everybody else and I'll just see what happens. Because if you just see what happens, by the time you see, okay, people are making money at this, it's usually too late. It's like the time to not buy Bitcoin is when the taxi drivers are all talking about Bitcoin. Time to buy Bitcoin is when no one's talking about it because it's crashed and it's bottomed out and everyone's thinking, oh, I don't know. And then you buy when it's quiet. And then suddenly, maybe 6 months later, 12 months later, everyone's talking all about it and everyone's buying, but you're not buying then. You bought 12 months ago when it was low and now it's gone up. So, and it's the same with everything. Property prices, people ask me about what's going to happen with property prices. I'll tell you what's going to happen. There's going to be a recession and then there's going to be an expansion. And then there's going to be a recession and then there's going to be expansion. That's it.
Circle of life.
But that is economics. Property prices go up and they go down and they go up and they go down and they go up. But overall, they tend to go up over time. So you just need to make sure you don't do what most people do, which is wait until they go up and go, oh my goodness, look, and then buy. And then they drop and go, oh my gosh, and then sell it. Buy at the right time and also buy for cash flow and hold. So that's what I'm doing. I'm continuing to do that. I'm continuing to buy properties. I'm doing development. I just had 6 houses built in a joint venture last year. and that took about 6 months. We're now selling those off. That's going well. Developing the castle. I've also got a few joint ventures going on in different parts of the country, which I'm excited. And
let's talk about the castle. What made you look at the castle and go, I'm going to get that and I'm going to turn that into flats? Because from the outside, let's just face it, it's not a pretty castle.
Yeah, you know what? I think it is. When I bought it, especially, it was a bit of a ruin. It was the roof had caved in and fallen down. It was covered in Japanese.
It's like the Grand Design's perfect episode.
Yeah, it is. I actually I had a meeting with, what's the guy's name?
Kevin
McLeod.
Kevin McLeod, yeah.
And I talked to him about the castle. He loved the castle, but he couldn't take it on just because it was an investment rather than a residential buy. But he loved the look of it. A great guy, by the way. So yeah, the castle. So it was terrible. It had Japanese knotweed around it, which for those that don't know, Japanese knotweed is a plant that basically makes properties worth nothing. You cannot get a mortgage on a property that's got Japanese knotweed because it grows through concrete and it ruins the structure of buildings. So the castle was covered in that. There was a lot of stuff that needed to be done. So yeah, so we bought. It's a very, very slow process because it's a grade 2 star building, which is basically if you've got a grade listed building, it means you have to get consent to do anything. So to change a window, to change a door. Grade 1 listing is bad. Grade 2 listing is really bad. Grade 2 star listing is one step down from a palace. So our castle is grade 2 star. So it's been fun and games. We've also had bats, and not just any bats. We've had a rare species of bats, which are almost extinct, which means that we have to give them special rights and we delay things. So it's really interesting. Now, I mean, we're making good progress, and we have got rid of the Japanese knotweed. We've got a license on the bat, so that's sort of under control. The roof has been taken off completely now, and that's being now fixed. Most of the structure of the building has been repaired. We've got planning permission now, so we've got planning permission to build a bunch of houses and a bunch of apartments. So it's coming together, but it's a slow. The thing I'm learning most on the castle is patience, because while the castle's been going on, I've bought a piece of land, built 6 houses, and sold some of them off from scratch. Like, that's happened in between. So it's a very, very slow process, but it's I'm not going to be rushing it. I'm going to be taking my time and doing it properly, because
it'll be an incredibly rewarding before and after shot.
It will, and this is not about speed. This is about doing it properly. And to be honest, I quite enjoy it taking time, because it just means that it's just ongoing. I can just savor it and enjoy it. Go and visit it. I was there a couple of days ago at the castle, and I've got a really good team working on it.
Good man.
Sorry, I was just saying one thing. So the castle, I bought it for 800 grand. For anyone's interested in figures, bought it for 800 grand. I've just had a valuation done on it. The gross development value is 6.35 million. So it will make good profit as well as being a rewarding experience too.
Amazing. You mentioned patience there. Is that something you've had to learn, or is that something you've always had?
I think most entrepreneurs are impatient, because patience is sometimes an excuse for not taking massive action. It's just like, oh, well, I'm not really getting results yet, but it's okay. Mm-hmm. And it can be a bit of an excuse. So most entrepreneurs that grab things by the horns and want things today and get things done fast, they don't tend to be patient. They tend to be impulsive, get things done. And that's what makes us entrepreneurs. However, there is a time for patience when something is out of your control, or when something's if you rush it, it's not gonna get done well. And for me, I wouldn't say I've learned it. It's something that I'm learning every day. I am not a patient person. It's something that I am having to learn. I'm not patient about anything though. Like when I met Amanda, my now wife, as soon as we started dating, we've been together 3 months. I'm like, let's get married.
Wow.
We got married within a year of meeting. So that's the kind of person that I am. And I think some people are just ditherers, and they wait and they don't make decisions and they procrastinate. That's not me. But when it comes to, I ordered a hot tub actually. I ordered a hot tub for my garden in April, and it's still not come yet. And I'm like literally losing it, because I'm just.
So that's giving you time to like build a little enclosure for it and things like that.
No, it's just irritating. I'm like, give me the summer's gonna finish. I'm probably the worst customer ever. So apologies if she's listening. Just
rent one of those flatbed trucks, turn up, put it on the back, and get it to your house.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, maybe it's a big hot tub though. I don't know if That's
one that needs craning in and all sorts.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
One of my last questions to you, Sam, is actually about sort of, again, coming back to one of my previous questions about that support network. How does Amanda, your wife, handle you? Because you are like 101 miles an hour. I'm willing to bet you come in the evening, and I very much doubt you're someone that just comes in and switches off straight away. How do you do that? How do you like zone down and make sure that you actually sleep at night? Because otherwise your mind is just racing.
Amanda's a very special person, and she's one of the very few probably one of the very few people in the world that could be married to me. And because I am fast paced, and I'm very, very blessed to be married to somebody that is not only absolutely amazing in their own right. She's got a fantastic business acumen. She's been in construction for many years. She's a quantity surveyor, so she's smart. She gives me good advice, but also she is extremely patient with me. She supports me, and I mean, I guess I'd probably have to ask Amanda that question. But yeah, when I got home last night, I've been traveling for the last 3 days. I've been in Hull. I've been in Wigan. I've been in where else? I've been all over the north of the country.
All the luxuries places.
No, not not at all. All the places that make money in property. So I've been traveling. I got home last night at like 10 p.m. I was with my videographer. Got home. I'd been on the road for 15 hours. We started at 7. Got home at 10 p.m. in my house, and then as soon as we got back, we were filming. It was like bang, bang, because I had stuff in my mind from the 3 days. I just wanted to get it out fast. So come in, start filming, bang, bang, bang. We finished around 11. So I live a pretty hectic life, and I think, but I also do take time out. So last week or the week before last, I took Amanda on a spontaneous trip. I told her that I was doing a financial freedom challenge. I said, Amanda, I'm going to be going to Ireland to do a financial freedom challenge, where basically, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, I sometimes do these crazy experiments where I start all over again from scratch with nothing and build my portfolio from scratch, just to prove that it can be done. For all those people that come up with excuses, it's kind of like my way of showing it's possible, starting from nothing. I said, I'm doing a financial freedom challenge in Ireland. Do you want to come? She was like, yeah, okay. It's raining in Ireland, 17 degrees. But then as we were driving to go to Ireland, I then told her, actually, I'm taking you to Paris, and we're going to celebrate our anniversary, and we're going to swing by Belgium on the way. And we did a little trip just around some parts of Europe. So we do take time out. I think it's really important to do that, to recharge and to enjoy. Remember why you started in the first place. So yes, I work hard, but I did this to give me freedom, and also to be able to have a good life and to be able to provide a good life for my family. So you need to take time out to do that stuff, and remember what the most important things are about as well.
Samuel, I think that's the perfect way to finish off this podcast. I really want to thank you for coming on. I know you're a busy man, and I guess, where can people find out more about you if they don't know already? What's the best way for them to find out more and educate themselves?
I'd probably say subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm putting out a YouTube video every day with content and knowledge. And the YouTube channel is called Samuel Leeds. Nice and easy. Samuel, thank you so much for coming on, and I wish you all the best. I look forward to seeing how you guys progress, and I really want to see these final shots of the castle when it happens. It's going to be a long time coming. Thanks for having me, Stephen. No worries. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. This has been Founders 365.